Marine veteran and New York City subway hero Daniel Penny is speaking out. Speaking out for the first time after he was acquitted this week in the subway chokehold case.
Penny opened up about his experience in an exclusive interview with our own Judge Jeanine Pirro.
The full interview with Daniel Penny is available on Fox Nation.
That's right. So one day after being acquitted, he sat down at a location, looks like an office, probably one of his attorney's offices, overlooking Lower Manhattan. And, you know, yesterday on the program, we were talking about how he was exonerated, how he was acquitted. And we wondered, given the fact that he has been to hell and back 10 times since he was charged with the death of Jordan Neely, would he do it again? If he were riding the subway today, would he do it again? Here is the surprising answer.
Will you take the subway again?
Yeah, and I have been. I believe in New York. I love New York.
Knowing what you know now, Danny, if you faced the same situation again, would you do it again?
Yeah, totally. I would not be able to live with myself if I didn't do anything in that situation and someone got hurt. I would feel guilty for the rest of my life. And I think I'm in a position, and all people, if they're in a position to help, should always help. I think that's the New York thing to do. It's the American thing to do. And yeah, I would.
That's why he did it in the first place.
So he said that he believes that all people should help. I mean, that's how we all feel is that, especially if you're a man, you don't watch women and children. One lady had a baby, being harassed and don't do anything about it. And there's such a void right now. The cops can't do their job anymore. You know, the DAs allow the criminals to just take us under siege in this city. It's like Gotham City in New York right now. And so it's only up to us to stand in. I still, even though he got off and the jury's put a red line in, I think more people are going to be hesitant to get involved now, Rachel.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? I mean, we want good Samaritans. We want heroes to step forward, especially young, strong men like this, with the kind of experience he has from the military, to step in and do the right thing. And I do think people will be hesitant. And part of it is because, you know, when it first happened, people were hailing him as a hero initially, because we have to remember what was going on at that time. People were dying on the subway. There were people getting shoved into the tracks. And then this guy comes in and does that. And then right away, as soon as he starts getting that hero adulation, the forces of the racial justice cottage industry starts, you know, doing their thing and trying to turn him into a villain. This young man actually talked to Judge Jeanine. By the way, this kid has good judgment, also picking Judge Jeanine. She did this interview beautifully. She was the right person to do this. I was getting even better than Barbara Walter vibes off this. Judge Jeanine killed it in this interview. She was amazing. And here he is talking to her about what it was like to go from hero to villain because of the racial justice industry. Listen.
You go from a hero to a villain when they say they're going to indict you.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
You know, obviously it's pretty nerve-wracking. It was very anxiety-inducing. But throughout this whole process, I would remind myself of the witnesses coming up to thank me. And really, no matter what outcome the trial had, I only cared about what the witnesses said about the situation. And I only cared about their opinions.
Someone, you know, immediately when this happened, I got a text message and said, I surfed with this guy. I've been surfing with him for 2.5 years. He's one of the greatest guys. I go, is there anything in his background that's going to come up as we were trying to make sense of this? He goes, zero. And then you find out they went all over his background, tried to find anything he did, you know, walked across traffic, anything, worked against traffic. And he was actually in the military. Okay. He was actually in the military for a while. In the military for a while. He also was in the symphony. So when he has some time, he wants to be an architect. And he was going to the gym. So he's not even, I mean, there was nothing about him that did anything but correct. But here's what I worry about. I worry about the civil trial.
Yeah.
And with the threshold being so low, and they're saying, the cause of death, and we remember that this could cost millions of dollars. And I just thank the American people for allowing his legal bills to be paid, because he's not from a family that could write a big check. They'd be bankrupt. And number two, I worry about the civil trial, because that'll send the wrong message, too. It's okay, I'm exonerated, but I'm broke. So you're going to bankrupt me. You're going to garnish my wages because I lost a civil trial to, for what I can tell, a father that was MIA. This kid, this 25-year-old, Jordan Neely, was put up for adoption or foster care, where he was pretty much abused. His mom was killed by the boyfriend, and she was chopped up and put in a suitcase. So you can imagine the trauma with that. And where was the dad? Well, the dad now has a cash register out. He's going to sue civilly, and he's going to look to cash.
So he's showing up now for the payout. That's amazing.
Well, it's just unfortunate because he had a rough life. I sympathize with his
Jordan Neely,
with his story, but that is not society's fault, and it's not the innocent people that were on the subway's fault. There is a system for that. That system clearly failed, but you don't get to create some person to be the person that you crucify as a result of that. Go after the system, say he didn't get homeless care, food and all that, go after his family, but you don't get to make the guy that was the hero suddenly this villain. The last thing I'll say about this is a story also about the elites. I've been watching other networks talk about this. You have the luxury not to have to take public transportation. There's a lot of people that have to take the subway, that have to take the bus. I mean, we're blessed enough to be paid where, if we want to take a black car, we can take a black car, okay? Average day New Yorkers cannot do that. They can't afford an Uber, especially with all the surge prices.
And that's why AOC's comments about this were so, actually I found them kind of shocking, because she is, for all her flaws, she's a populist. After Trump won, she went on social media and was like, hey, I really want to understand what happened here. Some people voted for Trump, some people, and at the same time voted for me. She seemed curious and wanting to be in touch with everyday people. But then these comments have resurfaced of what she said at this time, and her instincts were so wrong. Yeah. She's not with the common people who have to take the subway at all.
Regarding Danny Penny taking the subway, and he just said that he takes the subway all the time.
And he will again.
I'm sure he's going to take it today. The thing about Danny Penny, though, is he's got a distinctive look. I mean, if you would spot that hair a mile off. I bet he wears. He probably wears a stocking cap. He probably wears a hat.
He does. I saw photos of him out with his girlfriend recently in one of these magazines, and he's wearing a hat. He's trying to just live his life, but it's going to be hard.
Because think about it. If Danny Penny sat down next to you on a subway, I'd love that. Hey, sit next to me on the subway. But a lot of people here in New York, he's a bad guy, even though he has been fully exonerated by a jury of his peers.
And that's why let me
sit next to me.
Make clear what AOC said. AOC said the subways are less safe because of people like Jordan Neely.
What a stupid comment.
What a dumb comment.
Right, and it's for someone who grew up in New York, you should know better. And I will say this, the whole interview, you got to watch it, because Judge handles it because she gets out of the way. She asks the question and lets him go. And when a guy has long pauses, my old instinct is to jump in. She lets the silence happen. And the number two is, Lawrence, I'll tell the men something. I get on a subway because you can't get anywhere in New York. Right. You know, if someone tells me they're going to get in a car, especially with the Christmas tree and lighting, I can't get it. It will take me 45 minutes to get to the tunnel. So I always hop on a subway. Last night I did too. And I always go on Long Island Railroad, because I can't get anywhere. So
what would you do in this situation? By the way, didn't we have Adam, our weather guy, actually got into an altercation
on a subway?
Beat up.
1:30 in the morning.
What do people like you who take the subway, especially knowing what Daniel Penny has gone through, you see the same situation? Do you jump in?
You have to jump in, especially I see a woman with a child. Are you kidding? You have to, and let the chips fall where they may. But I will say, I talk to cops all the time. Nobody talks more than you. I get it. But everywhere I go, and everyone agrees it's getting better. Law enforcement feels backed.
Yeah.
I think that this place, New York City, has got families here walking on the streets. Our tree is a huge place for everyone to come. I sense that things are turning in the country. And I think this case is going to be the beginning of the end of the woke DAs.
Yep.
The American,
I
not
agree.
Democrats and Republicans. I think things are
agree.
turning for the better.
The way BLM looked so ridiculous and
Yeah,
impotent
it's just,
outside
and it was
of
like,
that
what
is
was
a
it, like
sign that
14 of
America's
them?
back.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
We would all love to get back to normal. Let's hope that happens. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.